Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Danielle, and I chat all about holistic and clutter-free spaces. And today, we're going to talk about ways that you can incorporate more coziness into your space. Even the most minimalist space can definitely feel and have those cozy, warm, comfortable vibes. And so today I'm going to share exactly how you can go about that. If you're looking for a snug retreat, then this is the video for you. Number one is to embrace earthy elements. Some of my personal favorite ways to do this are to bring in plants, like you see over here, or even dried florals. So pampas grass, bunny's tails, wheat, any of those creamy, warm, beige, earthy toned types of florals can be really great for just making a space feel more cozy and bringing in that warmth. Bringing in earthy elements like clay pots, wooden furniture is a big one because not only is it wood, which is all around us in nature, depending on where you live, but also it has the warmth and the tone of color as well. Whenever you incorporate wood, even into an entirely white room, it really adds a lot of warmth and coziness. Or it could be stone or even stone colors. In fact, recently I just changed the color of my bathroom from this light seafoam green color, which was a lovely color. Like, I really liked it when I moved into the place. What I didn't love was the way that greenish tone reflected on my skin and the way that it looked on camera. And I really wanted a space that felt more relaxing and spa-like. So I took a clay pot and I used the color of that clay pot as inspiration for painting the walls of the bathroom. So of course the walls weren't made out of earth or nature, but they did bring in some of that earthy vibe just in the color alone. By the way, the color I ended up using is called gravel stone. It's by Behr if you're looking for something similar. You can even bring these earthy elements in via your fabrics using things like warm-toned linen materials or materials made out of bamboo. There are tons of ways to do it, but essentially incorporating these earthy elements into your design materials and your design styles, you're echoing or mirroring nature's own natural design, which makes spaces feel more organic and comforting. Number two is familiar scents. You may have heard this before, but of all of our senses, the one that's most closely tied to memories is our sense of smell. Our olfactory senses play a huge role in memory and emotion. So if you think of things like smelling cinnamon all over the place as soon as October hits, or pumpkin all over the place as soon as October hits. It's not just about the smell of cinnamon or pumpkin. It's not like you naturally smell that out in nature every time it becomes fall. Those are baked into our memories and our emotions and our traditions. They remind us of baked goods and the comfort of our family. It's so integrated that the smell alone can evoke those emotions and kind of prepare us for the season that's coming. So intentionally incorporating these aromas through candles or essential oils or naturally baked treats to make your home smell like, pumpkin cupcakes, if that's what you're wanting, adds a layer of sensory indulgence. It's comforting and it's cozy. Number three is warm colors. This doesn't mean that your entire palette needs to be made of warm colors. If you look around me, mine is definitely not. But I do definitely incorporate splashes of warm colors throughout my entire home. I have a canvas painting of Horseshoe Bend off to my left here that's got tons of browns and oranges that really counteracts the white duvet cover and the white bedding that I have on my bed. I've got little pops of orange behind the backsplash of my desk, greens throughout the house and different plants. So there are a lot of different ways that you can incorporate these. Again, you can use natural elements like plants. You can bring in clay pots, which oftentimes are going to have these beige, neutral, or even burnt orange types of tones, and that'll bring in a lot of splashes of warmth to your space. But in general, colors like neutral shades and browns and oranges and deep reds and even gold are all intrinsically linked to cozy vibes. Like the autumn leaves, whenever they turn different shades of yellow and orange and gold and red, golden sunsets, you see a lot of those types of shades. They offer visual warmth and they allow your eyes to relax. You hear all over the place about how blue light and blue colors just really wake you up. Our brain and our eyes associate blue shades, whether it's light or colors, with being awake, with daytime. Whereas the golden shades are like the color of twilight and dusk and just late evenings of relaxation. And of course, those warm colors can also spread to being used in lights. I personally have always been a big fan of daylight light bulbs. I never did like the yellowish hue. It makes things feel dated to me. but I do understand the benefit of using them, especially in the evenings. And so what I've done is in various places throughout my home, especially in the living room, we've put in smart bulbs in all of the lights. That way, whenever it's evening, I can just choose to swap those automatically to relax mode or cozy mode or, even golden light mode. There are just all of these different names, but then I can have the best of both worlds because during the day, I like to have my daylight bulbs. Number 4, actual warmth. Now, I'm not saying you need to go install some big heater unit. There are tons of ways to bring in warmth into your space. It could be with really warm, cozy blankets that you could get that cover a whole slew of the different things that we're talking about today, from textures to colors to warmth. That feeling of warmth is one of the defining traits of coziness. I've heard people talk about the cast iron stoves that they would sit around with their family, and just like that whole radiating heat that brings everybody together and makes things warm and cozy. A fireplace, if you're so lucky as to have a fireplace. That's one thing that I miss having that we don't have here. The little waves of warmth that come at you when you have an actual fireplace and the little crackling of the fire. But even something like a set of really warm house slippers. I've shared before, I'm a huge house shoe fan, house slippers, whatever you like to call them. In my world, we call them house shoes. They're warm, they keep my feet all nice and cozy, whether I'm inside or outside. I don't walk anywhere without something warm on my feet. Or sinking into a deep, hot bath. I'm a bath person. I like to go all the way with my baths, essential oils, bath salts, all of the things. And just the idea of sinking into a nice hot bath, especially when it's really cold and jittery outside, it just is so cozy and so relaxing. So there are just so many ways that you can incorporate warmth into your space or into your general routine. Number 5 is side lighting. Whether you're using the daylight bulbs or the warm golden tone bulbs, having lights that hit you from the side, especially if it's natural lighting, that's even better, coming straight through a window, because that really disperses evenly and gently throughout a room, whereas light bulb lights are going to add a much harsher shadow and a much harsher light, but nothing is as harsh as having overhead lighting. I have overhead lighting where we have to have it, areas like the kitchen or bathrooms where it's commonly used, but even though I have an overhead light here in the bedroom, I don't use it. We have that turned off and we only use side lighting because it's just unwelcoming and it's stark, and it can even hurt your eyes having that overhead lighting bearing down on you all the time. When it's daytime, I don't turn the overhead lights on at all, even in the kitchen. I rely on just the natural side lighting from the windows. You can, of course, take this to the next level by adding in fairy lights or string lights, something that has a little twinkle to it, and those can make really soft side lighting as well without the harsh shadows. There are tons of different ways that you can do it, but in general, side lighting always wins. Number 6 is softness. So when we think of softness, a lot of times we go straight to something like a blanket, which is great, right? That adds a lot of softness into your materials and textures too. But there are so many different ways to think about softness when you're bringing coziness into your space. The padding of your chair, the padding of your bed, the padding of your house slippers, just soft materials in general, whether it's the textures that you're using on top of your furniture or the furniture itself, anywhere where you can bring in soft comfort, that's going to automatically make that space more cozy. Again, no matter how gorgeous your room is and how perfect the lighting is, if you're miserable every time you're laying on your bed, you're not going to feel very cozy. But also just the tactile sensation of topical soft things, covers, sheets, throw pillows. In my opinion, the bedroom is the best place to invest in your coziness. That's where you're going to be sleeping every night, waking up every morning. It's like it ends and starts all of your days, and that can make such a huge difference on how you feel and how well you sleep the night before. But also just having a room that feels like a retreat and that feels rejuvenating and restoring is one of the best things that you can do for your home. It just doesn't get any cozier than that. Speaking of soft materials, our sponsor today is Cozy Earth, and I recently got their pillows. So I've talked about their comforter before and how much I love that it's filled with silk. It's not silk on the outside. I'm not a huge fan of feeling silk. It's viscose of bamboo on the outside, which is incredibly soft. But the inside is filled with high quality long thread silk. What I had before was a down comforter. It started clumping up into different sections, and then there or flat sheet sections of the comforter by the end of its life. I love this so much that I went back and I got their pillows, which are filled with silk as well. While they're soft enough to be able to sink in and squish, they also are quick to regain their form. The link in my description will get you not 20, but 40% off site-wide at the Cozy Earth store. Number 7 is layered textures. So whether you're talking about mixing the smoothness of bamboo with the chunkiness of alpaca or, a homemade crocheted blanket, or mixing wood with stone, just that contrast creates a dynamic of textures, which can make a place feel less sleek and therefore more cozy. It's not just about materials used inside of your space either. Think about your walls and adding layers or texture to the walls by way of geometric cubbies or, canvas art, or even like a grid of family photos, something to add a little more depth and a little more definition to the space. It adds a little more texture. It makes the space feel more loved and more lived in. Number 8, warm, soulful foods. I love switching over to like the soups and the hearty stews, and like my daughter recently made some pumpkin cupcakes with cheesecake filling. They were just delicious. And those types of things that just feel warm and comforting make you feel cozy. They add their own cozy vibe. They add warmth from the inside out. I think of like a freshly baked loaf of rosemary bread. It's just so warm and fragrant, and it has this unique flavor to it, and it's just delightful, really, to just pull apart warm pieces of bread or sip on a cup of hot cocoa or whatever your favorite warm drink is. There's something cozy in bringing the warmth into your palate. Number 9 is to find balance and harmony in the layout of the space. And I don't necessarily mean design-wise, but making sure that you don't have all of your belongings on one side and then have another side barren. This whole being out of balance and being off-center can remove some of the coziness and make you feel a little unsettled. And obviously there's nothing cozy about having clutter and having no space to move around and to walk. So while we don't want our spaces to feel overly barren and sparse and like too empty, you want to add cozy vibes. If you overdo it and you add too much stuff, then you remove the cozy vibes and then it starts feeling bothersome. Number 10, curating chill spots. So relaxation spots, key zones where you're going to amp up the coziness. Your entire home doesn't have to be one big fuzzy warm-toned bunny rabbit, right? Like you can have key spots, key little chill zones that are like a reading nook or a rocking chair with a pad and a little blanket draped over it where you can go and get cozy when you need to. And even just having those key spots that are really amped up for coziness can make the whole space feel cozy. Plus, it's just a really great feeling to have some spaces that are optimized for relaxation. I mean, so many times we're busy all the time. We're constantly focused and working on stuff, and we're not giving ourselves time to break free from that. But if you have intentional spaces whose job it is to make you relaxed, you're more likely to find it just by being in that space. And number 11, we can't talk about coziness and relaxation without bringing in the impact of sounds. Whether it's ambient sounds or a carefully curated mood playlist that really gets you into the relaxation vibes, sounds can be just as cozy as visuals. Whether it's all natural or it's synthesized, the sounds of like tapping rain or of a popping, crackling fireplace, if they're natural, then that's awesome. I feel like that's the best. But just having any kind of ambient, relaxing, zone-moving sounds can really help to amplify the coziness. So I wish you the coziest of falls. I wish it for myself too. Let's just all have a cozy, relaxing fall. I know we could all use it. And be sure to leave in the comments any of your own coziness go-tos, right? Like what are your favorites? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll chat with you next week.